Welcome everyone, Dr. Williams here. I have an update for you today on nutritional timing for optimal performance. What we really want to take, one of the things we want to take from this presentation today is that we can help you perform better. We can help you win, and by eating correctly all the time. So we talk about everyday healthy eating, plus your sports nutrition, plus nutritional timing is going to really help you be your very best. The importance of nutrition really all the time, every day, day in, day out, but also specifically nutritional timing in such that we're talking about nutrition before exercise, during exercise, and then immediately following your training sessions. This is one of my favorite slides of all time, actually, and it's from our friends from Team USA, but it talks about your athlete plate. Sometimes when you're talking to your athletes or I'm talking to other coaches, it's like, okay, fine, what's that look like? Well, this is what it looks like. You can see at the top left, if you're talking easy training weight management, that's about what that plate should look like. As you get into more difficult sessions like the one down at the bottom, of notice, if you'll notice, the whole grains are smaller in the easy training weight management section than they are in the harder training. So this is just an excellent slide for you to review. Really something to keep in mind too is that there are some dietary requirements that vary. They differ slightly based on genetics, based on your ability to synthesize protein and how long. There's some research that suggests that the more consistent you are with your protein use, that your body actually gets better at building it. So we'll talk a little bit about activity type, strength, power, and endurance, and how that may change the nutritional makeup of what your athletes are going to be taking in. Basically want to understand too that it applies to all sports. Every single sport out there can improve itself by following more optimal nutritional recommendations. So for nutritional timing in regards to protein, we want to remind you that your athletes should be consuming their daily amount of protein. It's a very important, easy thing to do. We could talk a little bit more about it in the supplement section, but high quality protein, 0.4 to 0.6 grams of protein per kilogram of their lean body mass. And we should be doing this every 3 hours anyway, okay? And then also right before pre-exercise and post-exercise, some research suggests we're going to get a little bit more protein synthesis, a little bit more repair and rehab sort of, if you will, capabilities for the body. And understand that the maximal acute anabolic effect is between 20 and 40 grams, which means if you eat over 30, 40 grams of protein, there's really not an effect. And if your athlete's trying to be a little bit more weight conscious, so we just want to be aware of those limitations, and you can even go down to 20, 25 grams. It's going to save you a little bit of overall energy intake. There's really an abundance of literature and research that suggests that nutritional timing is the way to go. In other words, eating at those optimal windows prior to exercise, during exercise, and after exercise. We've seen over and over and over in the literature about improving tissue repair, improving protein synthesis, and also you talk about moods following high volume. In other words, athletes feel good. I get done, I get to hit some chocolate milk. You just feel better, and it may possibly help with overreaching and overtraining as well. The other slide we mentioned was on protein intake. This one's on carbohydrates. Basically, nutritional timing for that is any exercise over 60 minutes, you want to get 30 to 60 grams of carbohydrates per hour for more of our endurance type athletes or our longer training sessions. But even in our Olympic weightlifters, some of those training sessions will go 2 hours, 2 hours and a half. So we want to make sure that we're giving them the correct amount of fuel during that time so they can optimize their workouts and their training sessions, make most use of their time. A good easy way to combine your hydration, sometimes it mentions here 6 to 8 electrolyte solutions, 6 to 12 ounces every 10 to 15 minutes. You can mix your carbohydrates into that quite nicely, and well as a little bit of protein if your athlete can tolerate from a gut training perspective. We just finished up a whole section on chocolate milk and the benefits of chocolate milk. These are for folks who are athletes who are trying to maintain their weight, and also those that aren't. Post workout chocolate milk, I like it immediately to within 45 minutes. Its makeup is such that it has a nice amount of protein, a nice amount of carbohydrates, a good amount of fat in it. So it's almost the perfect workout drink. It's readily available. People enjoy it. It's great for strength and power athletes, although we may want them to add a little bit more protein with it. Also, for our endurance sports, it does help sort of that rehabilitative at the end of the workout, recovery and repair. This is probably one of my favorite slides. It mentions here quickly overall nutrition versus nutrient timing. Just keep in mind that 1.2 to 1.6 proteins per kilogram per day for most athletes. We can talk individually if you want something a little more specific, but this is going to be a great general guideline. And right below that, you can see the amount of carbohydrates that we should be taking in per day, 8 to 12. Also, 20 grams of protein right before we go to bed does show some promise in the literature for, again, rest, recovery, repair, and just helps take great care of that body right after we've put it through some stresses. A couple of slides here on dietary supplements. Just keep in mind I put a really nice fact check at the bottom here, and you can go and see, but basically understand what supplements are and who needs to be taking them and which ones that we do need to be taking. Also remember, we are responsible for everything that we're putting in our bodies. So basically here you can see different labs that test for supplementation. Just make sure that you're not taking a supplement because your coach or another athlete is taking it, or some friend or something. You're going to want to run that by myself or one of the staff, so we can make sure that you're taking, first of all, the right thing, the safe thing, and make sure that it's optimized for you and for your athletes and for their sports. Keep in mind that supplementation will vary slightly depending on your sport. For example, we see here sodium bicarbonate. It's kind of a buffer for sprint repeatability. There's some research suggests that. Creatine monohydrate, strength and power, and our beta-alanine. So intracellular and extracellular buffers, which is a little bit beyond the scope of this, but we can speak more about that specifically as it pertains to your sport. But again, the bottom one that I put here that's a no-brainer is protein. We have to make sure that we're taking in the correct amount of proteins, timed accordingly. Again, probably one of my absolute favorite slides when you look at calories and the energy balance at the bottom of this pyramid, and all the way to the top is supplements. And you see where nutritional timing is. I love this slide because it basically puts it into perspective. Again, we can't outrun a bad diet, so to speak. So we have to make sure that we're building on our foundations. First thing we want to do is get our calories right, then our macros, then our micros, and we can talk about nutrition timing and supplements. Also, I look at complexity and mastery. So if we're talking a bunch of high school kids or grade school kids, first let's get them to put down the sugar, right? If we're talking Olympic athletes, we may want to be speaking more, and college athletes, we want to talk more about micros, about nutrition, timing, and supplements. I use this slide actually on another presentation. It's my favorite slide, and I think it still holds true. Remember, the big picture here is there's no magic bullets, okay? There's no talent button, so to speak. And so you want to control the things that you can control, which is your skill coaches. You want to listen to them, follow their advice, your nutritional recommendations, strength and conditioning coaches, non-skill components. We call that non-skill components. So it's like, let's be on time, right? Let's be kind. Let's be good human beings. These things take zero skill to perfect. So let's make sure that we're becoming a better person along the way. Okay. Practice with intent, and obviously be a good teammate. Here are my references. If you'd like to read more about any of the things that we mentioned here, just follow the links. And thank you very much.